Hi, I'm Kristen and this is Scrap Fabric Love. And today I'm going to be telling you how I rescued my 3 wool pressing mats that got into a ridiculous situation. So I've got 2 solutions for cleaning your wool pressing mat to share with you today. One you've possibly heard of before, but I'm going to tell you how you can do it cheaper. And the second one, maybe you haven't seen before, and I think it's the best one. So the story here. So here's what the mats looked like before. There are kind of scorch marks. There's probably glue residue from Fusible for applique. I think there's coffee stains. There was a lot on these guys. But I have managed to rescue them. Here's one here. I'll obviously show you how the rest of them turned out in a minute. But how did they get there? Well, I've been quilting for just under 5 years. And in none of that time did I think about caring for the wool pressing mats. It's just not generally how I roll. I just get on with sewing and I don't worry about things like that. I did, of course, turn the mats over at some point because both sides of the mats were pretty ridiculous. But honestly, I didn't really think the state of the mats was a problem at all until my irons started getting gunked up. Yep, 2 irons because the first one, I thought somehow it suddenly getting gunk on it was an issue with the iron. So I got another one. I never claimed I wasn't ridiculous, guys. We know what I'm like. So anyway, when the second one went that way, and in fact went even worse, I started thinking, what is happening? I haven't had this problem since I've started quilting 5 years ago. What's going on? And then the penny finally dropped. I know, you guys would have figured this out way before me, but as we've already established, I'm ridiculous. Okay, but once I figured out it was the pressing mats, I decided I needed to cut the problem off at the source. Obviously, also tackling the iron gunk issue on the irons themselves separately, but the prevention is better than the cure. So I decided to rescue the wool pressing mats so that when I do get the iron completely clean, it won't happen again. I went looking around, as you do, for solutions for how to clean my wool pressing mat, and I landed on a special tool that people were selling to clean wool pressing mats. I thought, fab. And then I looked a bit closer. This tool was about 10, 12 pounds, depending where you bought it here. I'm in the UK. I think it's like maybe $9, $10 in the States. Anywho. And then I looked at the pictures of it a little closer and I was like, hang on, I think I already own that. And I did, I think. I mean, I haven't seen the actual quilting one close up, I'm not gonna lie. The tool I have was bought for getting cat hair off of a sofa. It's got these rows of sort of metal teeth that scrape the cat hair up, and I guess also would get stuff off a wool pressing mat. As I said, I've not seen the quilting one close up, but in the photos I've seen online, it looks pretty similar. Here's the bit where you might be able to save some money. When I searched on Google for wool pressing mat cleaning tool, I got these kind of products coming up, around 11 or 12 pounds here where I am. When I searched cat hair scraper or lint hair remover, I got these kind of prices. I'm pretty sure I didn't get mine for that cheap. I think mine was about £3 on Amazon a few years ago. But regardless, much cheaper than the one that is marketed directly to us quilters. So I decided to use the one I already had in the house. So how you use the tool is just to pretty firmly scrape it across the top of the wool pressing mat to remove that top layer. So if that's the only place that you've got dirt or gunk and it's not too seeped in, this might work okay for you. For me, it did get rid of some. You can kind of see it improving it here, even in this little sped up video, but it took a fair amount of effort. It was a lot. I had to hold on to the edge of the mat and scrape really firmly. So it was hard work, and it didn't completely solve the issue for me. So this might work if you catch the problem early enough and you're kind of aware that you should be doing regular maintenance on your quilting mats, unlike me. But for those few of you who are as ridiculous as me and you let your mats get to this state, what I ended up using that worked a treat was my husband's electric razor. So I called it a razor, but I think it might technically be like a hair clipping tool. So my husband uses it for his beard, which is why I was calling it a razor, but it's also got these sort of guides for different length haircuts. So if you've seen something similar to this is what I'm talking about. So this is really quite a cheap one, Babyliss. I couldn't find the exact one for sale now. I think this is pretty old in our house. But I did link to one in the description that's pretty similar. The key for me, which I'll talk about in a second, was these sharp teethy bits. So the other type of men's razor that doesn't have this wouldn't work the same. The first thing I thought of actually was a lady's razor, but the force that it took to make that work was pretty similar to the cat scratcher. And it ended up with me breaking the razor. So I moved swiftly on to the electric version. I had the razor turned on, but I turned it over to use the kind of sharp teeth on the end to sort of scrape the top layer of wool off the mat, I guess. And you can see it creates all that kind of fluff. The scratcher thing did the same thing. You end up with this kind of pile of fluff. So that's what it's doing. It's just removing the top layer of the pressing mat. But I just did that all over, and then eventually turn it over and use the proper side of the razor to sort of razor up and shave off all that fluff. So this was working really well. The things I was trying to be mindful of, although I was obviously concentrating on the areas where there was gunk or dirt or whatever, was to try and be fairly even as I went around so that I don't end up with little divots in my wool pressing mat where there was a stain and everywhere else it's kind of higher up. So although I was concentrating where there was something specific to clean, I was also trying to go background and be kind of even with the rest of the mat. So that was my sort of process. And here they are here. This one, frankly, looks pretty much brand new to me. This one is come up a little bit fluffier, like it's a little bit, it's not as flat maybe as when I bought it. I don't know if this one was cheaper or the more expensive one, to be honest, but it'll still work as a pressing mat, but it's not as compact, I guess, as when it's brand new. Do you know what I mean? And then this one I thought came out, so I think this came in a set with this, so they're like exactly the same material. And this one came out really good too. And this one was definitely the worst because this is the one that I use the most. So this one had lots of little glue marks. I think this one was the one with the coffee stain. So yeah, I'm really happy not to have to buy new wool mats. I'm not planning to let them get as bad going forward, but if I do, I think I would probably just turn on that electric razor and go at them. That was the easiest solution for me. If you are more of a regular maintenance kind of person, that's not really my style, but if that's yours, I'll also gonna link in the description to a video from another YouTuber who recommends like a no wash wool detergent thing. So if you do like a weekly or a monthly clean in your sewing room and that's more your style, that might be helpful for you. I just know I'm never going to do that. So I'm more of a crisis management kind of girl, not a regular upkeep person. So anyway, we've managed the crisis for now. And next I have to figure out how to completely clean my iron. I've gotten them about 9/10 of the way there, and I'm stuck on the little residue in the tiny little divots, on the sole plate. So if anyone has any tips for those, do let me know in the comments. So I hope this was helpful. If you like scrap quilts, that's usually my jam on this channel, and I'd love to see you next time if you want to come back. And if you haven't subscribed and you do like scrappy quilts and kind of quilting with very few rules, then maybe consider subscribing. I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for spending time with me. Bye.